There's a moment when someone stops pretending to care and actually stops caring. You feel it in your gut. Cold, hollow, undeniable. It's not just selfishness anymore. It's something darker. And it's okay to call it what it is. The death of empathy. I remember sitting across from someone I once loved deeply. Someone I had trusted with pieces of myself I didn't even know how to name. We had built a life together, or at least I thought we had. There was a kind of quiet loyalty in our past, memories painted with the warm tones of Sunday mornings and late night laughter. But on this particular day, something felt off. I was in pain. I was crying. And I looked up, hoping for understanding, maybe even just some silence and presence. And instead, I saw a smile. Not a kind smile, not a soft, confused, or sympathetic one. It was cold, measured, almost amused. And in that moment, a part of me shattered. Because I realized something terrifying. This person wasn't just indifferent to my pain. They were enjoying it. That's when I understood this wasn't just selfishness anymore. This was something darker. You see, when a narcissist truly begins to lose what's left of their soul, it shows in the way they relish your hurt. It's no longer about defensiveness or immaturity. It's not that they don't understand your feelings. It's that your feelings actually become a source of fuel for them. They thrive on the power imbalance. They feed off your heartbreak. And the worst part is, they often do it while looking calm, composed, and charming to the outside world. There's a moment when empathy doesn't just fade, it dies. And when that happens, it's like watching someone put on a human mask that no longer fits. Their smiles don't reach their eyes. Their words feel rehearsed. And deep down, something in you knows they've crossed a line they can't, or won't, come back from. This is the first sign. Pleasure in cruelty, when your suffering becomes their victory, when your vulnerability becomes a sport, when your humanity is treated like weakness, like a target, like a flaw to be exploited. At first, you doubt yourself. You think, maybe I'm being dramatic. Maybe they're just emotionally stunted. But over time, the pattern becomes too clear to ignore. The sarcasm cuts deeper. The dismissiveness gets bolder. And every time you cry, they smile just a little longer. It's soul wounding. Because we don't want to believe that someone we once loved, or still love, is capable of enjoying our pain. But sometimes they are. And it's okay to say that out loud. You are not crazy. You are not too sensitive. You are not imagining things. You're seeing what happens when someone chooses power over connection, control over compassion, and ego over empathy. That is not your failure. That is their choice. And no matter how much you try to love them back to life, you can't heal someone who has decided that hurting others is their way of feeling whole. If you're sitting in a relationship where cruelty is masked as honesty, or where your tears are met with smirks and silence, I want you to know, this isn't love. This is emotional violence. And no amount of history, family pressure, or potential makes it worth losing yourself. You deserve safe love. You deserve someone who softens when you break, not someone who sharpens their edge. And if no one has told you this yet, you are allowed to name what's happening. You are allowed to leave. And you are allowed to protect the parts of you that still believe in tenderness, in truth, and in something better. Because that belief, that's your soul. And it's still beautifully intact. I want to share a moment that, looking back, felt like the slow unraveling of a carefully spun web. I had trusted someone deeply, believed in their capacity for change, and then came the apology, or so I thought. "Sorry you feel that way," they said, with the kind of casual shrug that dismissed everything I had just poured out. The hurt, the confusion, the vulnerability. It was like watching a magician pull a rabbit out of a hat, only to realize the rabbit was just a trick, an illusion designed to distract and disarm. That phrase wasn't an apology at all. It was a weapon dressed up as remorse. You've probably heard this kind of "sorry" before, the kind that shifts blame back to you, makes your feelings seem like the problem, and leaves you questioning your own reality. It's a twisted dance where the narcissist doesn't actually seek to heal the wound they've inflicted. They seek to keep you off balance, confused, and under their control. This is the second sign that the soul has been sold to darkness, when apologies stop being about repair and start being about manipulation. The words become a performance, a calculated move in a game where empathy is not the goal, control is. There's a profound difference between a genuine apology and an apology used as currency. A genuine apology carries humility. It is messy, vulnerable, and uncomfortable because it asks us to look at our own flaws. But the narcissist's apology, it's rehearsed, cold, and hollow. It often comes with a side of sarcasm, a hint of condescension, or a strategic silence that leaves you feeling smaller, less certain. What's heartbreaking about this is that it feels so personal, because you want to believe in change. You want to believe that love can fix what's broken. But when the apology is just a tool, when it's about keeping you hooked rather than healing the fracture, it's a sign the person you loved has stopped being human in the ways that matter most. You start to notice how they twist your kindness into weakness, your boundaries into challenges, your pain into weapons against you. It's exhausting. It's confusing. And it wears you down in ways that are hard to name. If you've been in this space, I want you to hear this clearly. You deserve real apologies. Not the kind that come with conditions or that make you apologize for your feelings. Not the kind that leave you questioning your worth. Real apologies ask for forgiveness without demanding it. They open the door to healing without locking you in a cycle of pain. And if someone is unwilling or unable to offer that, to show real remorse and accountability, then you have to ask yourself, who are you really dealing with? Is it the person you thought you loved, or a shadow wearing their face? You don't have to solve their darkness. You don't have to stay trapped in their performance. You are worthy of clarity, of respect, and of kindness. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is to let go of the apology that wasn't really an apology at all. Because your soul, your true self, deserves to be treated with honesty and care. And it starts by believing that, even if they won't, you can. I once met a woman who shared a story that stayed with me long after our conversation ended. She told me about her ex-partner, someone she had loved fiercely, someone she had trusted with the most vulnerable parts of herself. But one night, she noticed something chilling as she slept. He would sometimes just sit and watch her, not with tenderness or care, but with a cold, calculating gaze. It wasn't love. It was a kind of quiet predation. He was waiting for a moment to use her softness, her trust, her vulnerability against her. That moment haunted me because it wasn't just about betrayal or broken promises. It was about something far more sinister, what I call the hollowing out of humanity. This is the third sign that a narcissist has finally sold their soul: the dehumanization of others. At first, it might look like indifference. They stop noticing your emotions, your needs, your fears. But then it becomes worse. They stop seeing you as a person at all. You're no longer someone to be loved, respected, or even understood. You become a tool, a means to an end, a way to feed their ego, boost their control, or inflate their image. It's hard to grasp unless you've felt it. The weight of being seen not as a human being, but as a possession or a pawn. It's a kind of slow, soul-sucking violence that strips away your sense of worth piece by piece. And what's devastating is how invisible it can be to the outside world. Because the narcissist can be charming, successful, even generous in public. But behind closed doors, the mask slips. The person you once knew is gone, replaced by a cold strategist who sees relationships as transactions and emotions as weaknesses to exploit. This kind of dehumanization is a declaration: you are not here to be loved. You are here to be used. And it's why this sign is so terrifying. It means the heart has hardened in ways that go beyond simple selfishness or cruelty. It means the capacity for empathy has been traded for power. If you've ever felt like you're just an object to someone to be manipulated, controlled, or discarded, then trust that feeling. It's your soul's alarm system going off. You are not imagining things. You are not overreacting. You are being dehumanized. And you deserve to be seen, truly seen. Not as a tool, but as a human being with your own story, your own pain, your own light. If someone in your life makes you question your humanity, it's time to reclaim it. To stand firm in the truth that you are more than their reflection of you. You are worthy of dignity, respect, and compassion. Even if they have lost those things themselves. Remember, their darkness does not define your light. And sometimes the greatest act of courage is to protect your own soul by stepping away from someone who has chosen to hollow theirs out completely. I want to take you back to a moment I witnessed at a gathering. A party filled with laughter, music, and the kind of easy charm that draws people in like moths to a flame. There was someone there who seemed magnetic. You know the type D, the kind of person who can light up a room with a smile, who tells stories that captivate and jokes that make you laugh until your sides ache. On the surface, everything about them sparkled. They were the life of the party, the friend everyone wanted by their side. But what no one saw was what happened when the music stopped, the room emptied, and the lights dimmed. Behind closed doors, the same person who had been so warm and inviting just moments before could turn cold, cruel, and calculating. They would deliver barbs disguised as jokes, dismiss feelings with a flick of their hand, and twist conversations until you found yourself questioning your own thoughts. This is the fourth sign A, when charm becomes a weaponized illusion. Charm in itself isn't a bad thing. It can be genuine warmth, a bridge to connection, a way of making others feel seen and valued. But when a narcissist has truly sold their soul, charm is no longer authentic. It becomes camouflage. A carefully crafted mask designed to disarm you, to lower your defenses, and to keep you hooked. They don't need to yell or fight anymore. The charm does the heavy lifting. They smile in your face, speak sweetly, flatter effortlessly, all the while tightening the invisible chains around your heart. Their charisma becomes bait for your trust and your hope. What's even more painful is the betrayal that comes from this duplicity. You want to believe in the goodness you see, because the alternative, facing the truth that someone who seems so bright and alive is actually so dark inside, is almost unbearable. You find yourself making excuses. Maybe they had a bad day. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe it's not that bad. But deep down, You know the truth. You sense it in your gut, in the quiet moments when you're alone with your thoughts. You know that charm is not character. That charisma is not kindness. And that sometimes the brightest lights cast the darkest shadows. This is where you have to be brave enough to trust your instincts, to look beyond the polished surface and ask, what am I not seeing? What am I ignoring because it's easier than facing the truth? You deserve love that feels safe. Love that doesn't come with strings or secret agendas. You deserve people whose kindness is consistent, whose warmth doesn't disappear when no one else is watching. And here's the thing. You're not naive or weak for believing in goodness. You're human. You're hopeful. You're brave. But hope needs boundaries. It needs discernment. Because sometimes the most dangerous people aren't the ones who scream the loudest. They're the ones who whisper sweet words and smile while they break you down. If you've ever felt dazzled and confused by someone's charm, I want you to know you're not alone. And you're allowed to step back. You're allowed to ask for clarity. You're allowed to protect your heart. Because your soul deserves more than a beautiful mask. It deserves real love, real respect, and real truth. Here's a truth that's hard to say out loud, but one that carries immense power sometimes. The person you love doesn't want to change. Not because they can't, because change is never easy, but because the darkness they've chosen feels comfortable. It's familiar. It feeds something inside them that they're unwilling to let go of, no matter the cost. When a narcissist has finally sold their soul, they aren't just stuck in old patterns or caught in moments of weakness. They have crossed a line where the pain they cause others is part of their identity. It becomes a way to feel alive, to control, to mask their own emptiness. And no amount of your love, patience, or pleading can pull them back. This is the moment where you have to grieve. Not just the relationship, but the person you thought they were or hoped they could become. You have to grieve the dreams you held on to, the future you imagined, and the version of them that only existed in your heart. Grief isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of courage. It means you are fully confronting the loss and facing the truth, even when it hurts. And then comes the hardest part, choosing yourself. Choosing to step away from the chaos, the manipulation, the cruelty. Choosing to protect your own soul, your own dignity, and your own worth. Because here's what no one tells you. Staying in the orbit of someone who has given themselves over to darkness will cost you everything that makes you who you are. It will drain your joy, your hope, your compassion, and your sense of self. You might feel guilty. You might feel scared. You might wonder if you're abandoning them, or if you're the one who has failed. But the truth is this: you are not responsible for saving someone who refuses to be saved. You are responsible for your own healing. And healing means setting boundaries. It means saying no to toxicity, no matter how much history or love is involved. It means embracing the discomfort of letting go, because holding on has become more painful than releasing. Remember, courage doesn't always look like grand gestures or heroic battles. Sometimes, courage is the quiet voice at the end of the day saying, I will try again tomorrow to choose peace. It's the small steps you take to reclaim your power, to rebuild your sense of worth, to create a life where you are loved without condition and respected without fear. You don't have to stay in their darkness. You were never meant to carry their pain or fix their brokenness. You are whole just as you are. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is to walk away. Not because you don't love them anymore, but because you love yourself enough to refuse becoming lost in their shadow. That love for yourself is the light that will guide you back to freedom.